Hey everyone, this is America's kick-ass career coach Mo Faul, and I'm here with a special guest, Laurie Kirkpatrick. Welcome, Laurie.
Hi Mo, how are you doing?
Good, good. I asked Laurie to join me on this Bring Your Soul to Work series because Laurie and I had the pleasure and opportunity to work together in two ways. Laurie was a client of mine in my kick-ass coaching program. And then we hired her and my team to do what she does for a living, which you're going to hear about in a second. So this Bring Your Soul to Work series, folks, I want to make sure that you hear about real life stories of women who had challenges in their careers, who knew there was more in their heart, but didn't quite know how to get there. So you're going to hear Laurie's story today, and you're going to hear about the fantastic work that she is now freed up to do because she has figured out how to bring her soul to work. So Laurie, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I currently live in the Indianapolis area. I'm in a suburb outside of Indianapolis, and I get to be a Gallup certified strengths coach on a daily basis, and I get to talk to people about their unique strength combinations and how they can put those to work and target them to basically access their excellence.
And I know how that worked, and we'll talk about that in a second when we get to that, because that was a lot of fun for me and my team. So tell me a little bit about your background and how did your career profession progress for you until the time we met?
Sure. I have a background in education, and so I did spend 5 years as a high school English teacher, and then I got my master's in counseling, and I was a guidance counselor at the high school level, and then went on to be an assistant dean and director of counseling services at the college level.
Mm-hmm.
And then we moved to the Indianapolis area,
Okay.
and soon found out that my licensure didn't exactly follow, and that's kind of what led me up to you. But
Yeah, right. Well, it's interesting. So many careers are shifted. A spouse gets a new job, move to a new city. You have no choice on some hand but to just kind of like go with the program, hoping that things will get sorted out. Moving can be a trauma, even if it's for a positive thing. I'm assuming your husband had a good opportunity and the choice was good for the family, but it's traumatic for everyone to pick up their roots and move to a new city, and your career got kind of disrupted.
that is correct. And when we moved, I was nervous for my kids at that time and how they would acclimate to the move, being that middle school awkward age. And I soon figured out that they were fine, and and it was time for me to go to work, which I didn't anticipate would be a problem at all because I had a great background. I had a lot of success in my former jobs, and when I went to do the job hunt, I quickly found out that I really wasn't getting called back. I really wasn't even finding anything that replicated what I had been doing in Iowa as assistant dean and director of counseling services, which was very surprising to me. I definitely had no idea, did not anticipate that this was going to be my struggle and that I was going to really have to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up all over again.
Yeah.
In my late 40s.
Yeah. So just diving just a little bit into that, like, how did that start to feel for you?
How did that start to feel for me?
Yeah.
It honestly, a very low point in my life. I tend to be optimistic and tend to be very positive, and I ended up taking jobs that I was overqualified for, but felt like I can do this and I'll learn something. I gain something from everything I do. But what was happening was I felt my soul being eaten away day by day, and I did not feel myself. I had a really hard time accessing joy. My self-confidence was definitely in the crapper, and it just kept spiraling down. And I would try to, I took a different job to try to make that better, and ended up with more of the same. And I just was constantly questioning and searching really what my purpose was. And again, as I turned 50 and then, 51, I was like, I cannot believe this is where I'm at this point in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously a story that is pretty frequent with the work I do, because you were in my workshop and you heard similar stories of women who were experiencing almost the exact same thing, but with a slightly different storyline, and we'll get to that in a second. But what drew you to the work that I do? I'm just kind of curious. What was the thing that you said? Oh, I think this woman might have something for me.
Well, like I said, I was just in this constant mode of seeking answers and not really being able to find them.
Yeah.
And then your beautiful face popped up on my Facebook, and I clicked on a video, and there you were telling me and speaking to, I think, my soul, and I became quickly curious and, however, skeptical, to be honest.
Sure. Yeah.
At the time, just because I'd had so many things that I'd looked into and, and spent money on, and didn't really get me where I felt I needed to be.
Yeah.
But I saw that, and your message, and I wanted to be, of course, I wanted to be a kick-ass woman. I felt like somewhere in there I had this kick-ass woman, but I was really having a hard time accessing her, and so I decided to take the plunge and just at least do the clarity call.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I had the pleasure of talking with you on our clarity call.
Yes, and what a treat that was, because here's the thing, and this is just completely honest. Your gift is really being able to quickly assess the situation, and I felt like everything that you said to me, I mean, you obviously listened to me and validated me and really heard me, and were quite possibly the first person. You were the first person, really, since in 5 years that I'd been doing this soul searching and trying to figure out what I wanted to do, that I felt really understood me, and I really was like, you know what, this person gets me, and I really believe her, that she's going to help me find the clarity that I'm looking for.
Yeah. And as you know, I so treasure that trust, and it's the most sacred thing to help another soul move forward, and I appreciate that.
Well, I mean, it really is a gift, Mo, because I had, I sought out a lot of different sources and just had never had that feeling of, I absolutely need more of this woman in my life. So,
and it's
timing, it was perfect.
Right. What was the biggest change that you noticed in yourself in the work that we did together? What was the wow? What was that for you?
Oh, so many things, but so clarity, huge, and confidence. Mm-hmm. And those were two huge things that I was missing. And really just what those, the clarity and the confidence together, the clarity that, what you really do want is doable, and you are capable. And the confidence to say, this may seem like a risk because, my husband wasn't necessarily completely on board. It's scary for him to think of, not a consistent paycheck, and mm-hmm. How is this going to come together? And, where's the guarantee in it? And I just really benefited. That's not even a powerful enough word. I really did find my true self, and it was validated, and then just learning about so many things, but like getting in alignment, mm-hmm. And how to stay in alignment, and then having that clarity of this is the next step, and then the confidence that you are capable, this is your purpose, and this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. I remember, not to divulge too much, but I remember a few conversations around, hey, Mo, I don't know if I should go back for a job or if I should really capitalize on this Gallup StrengthsFinder thing that I'm really passionate about. Is it right for me? Is it true for me? I remember you having some internal struggles with that. I think most people who, let's just say, break away from a traditional employment, and most of my work is helping women gain that next level of job, gain that career move, gain that promotion. From time to time, there's a woman who comes into my workshop like you who, I'm not sure if working in a job is my thing. But we had to sort through what that meant for you and how that goes. And I even remember helping you figure out how your pricing strategy would work and how to network and reach out. Tell me a little bit about what you were able to do with getting yourself out there in the work that we did and really position yourself as a powerful woman who has something to offer.
Well, I think the first thing was that once you helped me get into my alignment, things really did just start to happen that I no longer think are coincidence. And so I had a connection with a local, it's the Cabin Counseling Resource Center, and they had an interest, in the Gallup StrengthsFinder, but it was still a matter of finding clients and that kind of thing. And, ultimately that was still on me because no clients, no paycheck.
Yeah, right.
And so, but I really, with that confidence then, started putting it out there, making contacts of people who I had done some work for, asking them for, who else do you think could benefit from them? Because that was your suggestion too. And honestly, as the marketing piece was, is not what I feel like my strong point is.
Right.
And I really felt a bit lost there in how to make that come together and how to really sell myself. But doing the elevator pitch and really really going through the modules and practicing those things, all very helpful in helping me to speak about what it is that I do and connect with other people in a way that I didn't feel was silly, was over salesy.
Right. And as you know, in the work that you do, you're helping people find who they are.
Exactly.
And when we don't communicate effectively or don't have the right impact, those people are losing out on our gifts.
That is very true.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Yeah. And I know you came through a lot of those aspects of it really charged up with presenting the fact that you have something to help other people, and not only individuals, but organizations and teams and companies.
Right. Because I genuinely am excited, and I have seen, firsthand of how the Gallup StrengthsFinder is such a great base for information. And, as we've talked about, it really does align itself with what it is that you do. It's more information. Right. It's validation about what your strengths are. And I so believe in it and want to share it with other people. But I didn't want to come off as that person who is like any conversation that you have with a friend or a family member is me trying to sell you something. Right. I just wanted people to benefit from it.
Right. Right. And when you're aligned, you get comfortable with bragging. We call it bragging in the course, right? So people can get used to presenting their gifts and talents in a way that feels good. Tell us about the Gallup StrengthsFinders. From us having a conversation, I've used it years ago as an executive with a team. I was shuffling positions and people's roles, and I had a lot of fun with it. You brought a whole new level of understanding with it to me recently. But tell us a little bit about what the Gallup StrengthsFinder is and where it came from and all of that. Give us the 411 on that.
Okay, sure. So really there are now almost 5 decades of research put into the Gallup StrengthsFinder. It's an online assessment that millions of people have actually taken now. It identifies people's top 5 strengths. And the way that that assessment came about really was, the idea behind it from Dr. Clifton was, what would happen if we started focusing on what people did well instead of what people needed to improve on, or what if we focus on our successes instead of failures?
Yeah.
And so they interviewed people who were considered to be the best of the best at what they did. And throughout those interviews, they narrowed down talent themes. So there's 34 talent themes. And when you take the assessment, which is just basically a 30-minute online assessment, it tells you what your top 5 strengths are. And those top 5 strengths are extremely unique. As a matter of fact, in the likelihood of anyone else having your same top 5 in the same order is 1 in 13.3 million.
That's crazy.
And and if anyone else having your same top 5 in any order is like 1 in 270,000. And so the understanding, and this is the piece that a lot of people miss. A lot of people have taken the assessment, but they haven't really had any coaching behind it. And so it's kind of like, okay, that's cool. And yeah, that resonates with me, but what does it really mean? And how do I really use it? And so what's been super cool and fun for me is working with individuals and working with teams like yours to really uncover the meat of what that means, how those strengths work in combination for you as an individual, and what that means as a team member, and collectively as a team, how are your strengths functioning? How can you target them to have your access to excellence? Because when people are operating off of their strengths, they're more engaged.
Yeah.
They are more aligned with their values and their purpose. They're more productive in general. And they're much, much more likely to achieve success. In fact, when you're using your strengths, that's your power for near perfect performance in the task that you're doing when you're operating off of your strengths.
Wow, those are powerful words. Near perfect performance. I don't know a single manager or executive or company that wouldn't want any team member to not be performing at their near perfect. I mean, those are great.
Yes.
Those are great and powerful words. One of the women who's in the Kick-Ass coaching program right now, Tuesday night on the group call, she says, "Hey Mo, I'm finished with module 2. I want to talk over that with you, but I had a StrengthsFinder done at work."
Oh, I didn't. That's great. That's great.
So I asked her what her strengths were, and I was able to actually integrate some of that in where she's strategically planning on her next career move. So that was a lot of fun. That just was the other night in the group call. So I thought that was awesome. I know from the work you did with me and my team. So I have 3 other ladies who work with me, now 4, and when each individual saw their strengths and were able to talk about that, like, they lit up.
That's exactly right. Because it's you. I mean, that is your inner, the inner light, your true self. And that's, and this is the way that people are hardwired. And because, really you're born with this talent set, and it is truly who you are. A lot of times, because, that's how they've been their whole life, they don't realize that it's truly unique, and these are gifts, and these are strengths, and that there's so much power in them. And, when you put it together, and so the light bulb moment comes from, oh, wait, that's not how everybody thinks, or that's not what everybody's good at, or that's not how everyone approaches it. No, it's really not. And this is what you bring to the table in any given situation. And when you're using that, you are going to be on fire. You are going to be, operating as close to excellence as it gets.
Yeah. And so as you reviewed with each of us, our individual strength finders, you also then put us together in a matrix as a team, and we were able to see how each of us can interact with the other and bounce our strengths off each other. Now, we had an area, in my estimation, as like the CEO of my little company here, we had an area where we might fall a little short. And I think that was on the execution aspects of it. But boy, were we high in customer service and basically engagement and things like that, which of course that's what I would hope would be our answer, because that's the business. We're in a professional services business, and our work is lifting souls and lifting women's careers. But tell me a little bit about how you see that helping a company when you can put people's strengths on a matrix and coach them and talk to them about how that helps their company.
The benefits are endless, and I truly believe that. And to be honest, when I first started doing this, I was only focused on working with individuals. And then I had a couple of opportunities to work with teams. And when I was working with teams, I was like, wow, this is super cool and really powerful. And everyone always comes away from it energized and kind of with new purpose. But the benefits of looking at that on the matrix. So what that matrix does, so we talked about there's 34 possible themes, but then there's 4 domains. So it puts those strengths in one of 4. Every strength is in one of the 4 domains, which are executing, influencing, relationship building, and strategic. And so then it helps you to look at your team. And whereas an individual, strength isn't really about having an individual have strengths in each of those categories. Right. It's about having a team, have strengths in each of those categories. And so then it helps you look at that team and say, you know what, when we need something to get done, we need to really, these are our people, these are our go-to people, and they need to be the ones in charge of that task. When we need somebody to go out and build those powerful and long-lasting relationships for repeat business and that kind of thing, this is who we're going to draw from. And then you can make powerful partnerships between people when you need that relationship builder with the person who's going to get things done, or you need in the front end, you need the strategic piece of this is how we're going to go about, this is going to be the best way, the best plan for us to achieve this task. It really gives you that roadmap and that way to target your teammates, so that everybody is able to work off of their strengths and do what they do best, do more of what they do best.
Right. And it really helped me understand what each of the women on my team brings to the table. Like intuitively, I think any real leader who's kind of like tuned into how they're feeling and how they're perceiving things, we kind of get it. But there might be some areas where someone might get on our nerves or something. Like an area that's just like, oh, why does that person have to be like that? Why can't they be whatever? And not to name names, but there's someone on my team I was like, gosh, I wish they would just be a little bit this way. But now that I know that this is one of her strengths, and this is how she shows up in her awesome genius place, I don't want her to be different. I was, as a typical leader does, wanting her to fill the funnel in the box of how I deal with people or how I have comfort. And it really opened my eyes. I mean, I've been an executive for decades. I had all kinds of people reporting to me, for me, with me, and me reporting to them. So I've got all kinds of experience having these feelings. I'm just like, okay. But watching her light up on her strengths and knowing that a few of those things are things that I'm not totally jiving with, but that they're her strengths and that she brings that to the team gave me a whole different perspective.
And that is the beauty and that's what doesn't happen if you don't have, a coach or somebody who can really explain and uncover those blind spots. But in general, whether I'm working with a family or a team or a couple, just one of the great things that Strengths does offer is an appreciation for, that's why you do it that way. And then it's not so annoying when, because all of a sudden it puts that light of,
yes,
that's a good thing. And that's something I don't have. And, and you make sense, you make sense to me now, or it makes sense to me. Or even more powerful is, oh, now I know how to better approach you or
Yes.
communicate with you to get more of what I want to.
Yes, indeed. And I'll say you were a fantastic coach for each of us individually to understand our strengths and how that matters to the work that we do, and for facilitating our team inner relationships and how it bolsters our team. And you helped us talk through some of those awkward things about what do I like best in you, and what are going to be some of the challenges with the team. And it was really, really helpful. I just can't say enough about how helpful it was for me as the CEO. Again, small company, small team, but I'm in charge, and I got to make sure my team's maximizing who they are, what they're doing. But each person on the team felt so gratified.
And that, I mean, that's the beauty of it. And that's why, I mean, I think it's especially businesses and corporations, I mean, if they can give this gift to their teams, because it does make people feel validated.
Yes.
It does. I mean, the research shows, that employees are more engaged. And then as a manager, how much information and how many benefits are there for you, as someone managing the people, to know exactly who to pull from for, what task, but
Yeah.
how to get the best of them.
Yes.
On a daily basis, and how to help them be more productive. And employees, feel like, oh, you know what, my manager really gets me and it is helping me develop as an employee, and not just expecting me to fit in this box.
Yes.
And is really letting me shine.
Yes. And one of the people on my team is changing her role, partly from the insights from the StrengthsFinders. Now, I'm lucky enough that I had an opening for exactly what she wanted to do. So she's in the process of getting trained into a new role, because she realized that she brings something specific to the table, and she really wanted to maximize that and do more and have more contribution on the team. And I'm thrilled about it. And it started with her seeing who she really is in the StrengthsFinders, and it allowed me also to not resist that. Because, as any manager, you want your people to stay where they are, because the more stability you have, the better and easier life can be in a business world. So we don't like disruption typically, so we resist it. But I was able to agree with her and see what she was talking about for having her role expand and do more. And that was so much better than the alternative.
Well, right, because sometimes you lose a good employee just because they want more, right, and they don't think that opportunity necessarily exists for them, or they're not even sure what that opportunity is. Yeah. But when you're both on the same page, and those things come to light, and I mean that was so exciting for me. Exactly. And I know how excited she is to step into her new role, and I mean that was really powerful, and that happened after our first part of the section, I mean, that light bulb came on, and that's the stuff that I mean, Mo, is this work? I mean, is what I do work? Because it's too much fun. And I mean, and that's the thing. And that's the difference in me now. Because I really look forward, I mean, I wake up with a purpose, and I am genuinely so excited for who I get to meet and who I get to share this information with, because I have seen the transformations. Yeah. And I just recently, last week, worked with a family. The parents brought in their son, who is a freshman, and he's excelling socially and not so much academically. And they felt like, what do we do? We told him this, that he had to do this, and this. And then, he went in there and he started missing classes, and like the tests weren't going well. And so I had actually everybody all the parents and their son take the StrengthsFinder.
That's cool.
And I was able to help them so much more effectively just because of having that information as a guiding post. And what we uncovered is that because the dad was like, is very, very much, he's an achiever, and he's very much like, well, why wouldn't you get up, at 8:00 in the morning? Why wouldn't you do this? And why wouldn't you do that?
Right.
And, as a kid, you're hearing that and it's like, I'm in college now. I'm not, I'm going to try to figure out how to do it
Right.
my way.
Right.
And so to make a long story short, we were able to say, okay, well, he was really lacking some execution skills, in the get it done matter. Yeah. And we're like, well, what happens if, but he had ideation. And so it was like, but he can, come up with these ideas. It's just like how to make it happen. Uh-huh. And so I was like, because your dad is really strong in how to make it happen, what if you guys kind of, if he comes to you and says, what do you have on the docket? What's your week look like? And then he doesn't tell you how to do it, but he offers suggestions and helps you, with the plan to attack it. And they were so excited, and he headed back off this last, just on Monday to go back and take his finals with kind of a purpose. And we also talked about better ways for him to study, because he was studying alone, but his strengths really were more geared to, he was going to get much more out of it if he was in a group, if he organized a group to study with. So at any level, the information is really helpful.
What better of a situation that could go south than a dad who's pissed at his son, a son who's frustrated that he's probably not living up to what his dad thinks, but he's trying to have fun and define himself. And now, because of StrengthsFinder, they can understand each other better. They can have a common language, which is one of the other things I loved about this. My team now has a common language around this, that they can understand what, so dad, okay, help me out with this plan of how I can get this done, because this is not my thing. And the dad, rather than beating his son over the head, and I don't mean that literally, obviously, but, it's possible that over time that relationship would have deteriorated.
And they, I bless them, because they could kind of see that already happening. Yes, they're exactly what you said. They were feeling frustrated. They were seeing like, we're putting this money into it, and, I don't want to be disappointed in this kid. We love our kid, but he's got to do this. And how do I, he's not listening. He's not. And I just, just from being able to say, what, the way he's wired, he's going to have to try, he hears you. It's not that he didn't hear those messages,
right,
but he's going to have to figure it out for himself. And then once he sees that, okay, that didn't work, he's going to be more aptly to listen. But, and when I talk to the dad about, instead of saying, you need to do this and this and this, what if you say, hey, what's your work look like? Oh, how do you think you're going to approach that? And you become more of a bonus in helping him with the system and helping him through that problem solving process, so that he can become more of an executor. So they were partnering. So the dad and the son are now a powerful partnership, which is really cool.
So great. Wow. Is that relationship going to be so much better over the minutes, but over the years?
Yes.
Laurie, I know the value of your work. You know the value of my work. We had so much fun working together and having that that dual relationship with each other. But where can people find you? Where can they find you, and where can they tap into your work specifically?
Sure. So I have a website. It's Laurie Kirkpatrick. Coaching.com, LaurieKirkpatrickCoaching.com. Sweet. And just so you know, my phone number is 317-941-8513, and they can definitely feel free to call me at that number. And I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn and all that too.
Great. Awesome. Well, I know you're in the Indy area, but you worked with us. My team is all over the country, and I'm in South Florida, and it was perfectly doable and wonderful to have you do work remotely with us. The wonderful world we live in now with the internet and Facebook. You found me on Facebook, and I was able to help you and get you where you wanted to go and build your business. I want you to have the most success that you want, and to really be just as awesome as you're built to be. And we're going to help people find you and use your tools and have your coaching for their strength finders as much as possible.
How blessed am I? And Mo, this is, again, just completely from the heart, but I believe 100% I would not be able to do what I do on a daily basis now, without having had your expertise, and the experience of going through the Kick-Ass course. It really did transform my life. And in a short period of time, I mean,
Yeah.
I spent 5 years searching, and within, well, honestly, within the first few weeks,
Yeah.
things started just happening and
Yeah.
coming to me. And as we talked about, I mean, I don't see that as a coincidence. That happened as a direct result of me being able to find that alignment.
Yes,
So
yes. And because the other women who were in the workshop with you, they all had that experience. And especially, first of all, when you choose to commit to your path and you say, I'm important, my path is important, getting this right for me is important, all of a sudden the universe conspires with you. Like, all sorts of things begin to fall in place and happen. And it's not because you were sitting on the couch, you were doing the work also. So you showed up to do the work and you committed to yourself to open yourself up to the process. And that was such a beautiful thing to see.
but I needed, yes, but the way that you have that packaged, it just made sense. And yeah, I mean, and honestly, it was, equally as rewarding for me to hear the other women that were going through that with me, find their successes and what was happening in their life as they, got aligned and uncovered, their purpose and got clarity. And it's really a gift. And I just can't say enough or recommend you, enough as a coach, because, well, like I said, I wouldn't be able to do what I do, and I do not see it as work. I mean, this is what I would be doing for free because I love it so much, but I fortunately have found a way to get paid for it.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
super cool.
So you've brought your soul to work. Now you are a total kick-ass woman. You are a professional. You have talents and gifts that you are putting out into the world. And because you're now able to communicate and show up as to all your beauty and awesomeness, people are able to find you and access your talents, and then you help them. It's awesome.
Absolutely.
It's
and
awesome.
I'm ready.
Yay.
I'm ready.
All right. So contact Laurie Kirkpatrick. Find her at lauriekirkpatrickcoaching.com. And your telephone number one more time to wrap it up, Laurie.
It is 317-941-8513.
Nice.
Thank you so much, Mo.
You're welcome. And thank you, Laurie, for joining us on Bring Your Soul to Work series. We'll see you next time. And thanks, Laurie.
Great. Take care.